That's brilliant.
Yeah. So I'm Shane Niblock and I own two businesses at 30 years old. I live just outside of Belfast in Northern Ireland. And sort of me, who I think I am and why I'm doing this is there wasn't many other people growing up who was doing what I was doing. I was always interested in business and I want to give back sort of what I've learned, the things I'm still learning. Like I'm only started my journey. I'm only 30 years old and only been running businesses for a few years. And sort of for me, I want to give back and sort of document my journey and see where this goes and have a record of it and see if I can help anyone along the way. So really, for me, my journey is, wanted to start off business. Was quite young. Like both my mum and my granddad both had their own businesses and had aunts and uncles as well who did. And so I grew up with it. I was always wanted to be a footballer as well, but definitely didn't have the talent for that. So it was either football or business and sort of led the business. I think I was quite lucky that how you always get asked when you're younger, what do you want to be when you're older? I always said business person. And I remember someone was going, well, what type? And I think it must have been about maybe 10 years old, looked up a rich list of some sort and I saw Warren Buffett on it. Now, it could have been someone else or different people like that there, just so happened to land on him. Saw that he was basically an investor in businesses. And I initially thought, well, that's not particularly talented. You don't need this, you don't need that. You can just work hard and get there. That's how little I knew at that stage. But yeah, and then looked at him and sort of went, right, that's what I want to do. Just got obsessed with business, got obsessed with analysing businesses, how they work, how they operate. And I've read hundreds of books on it, listened to hundreds of podcasts, hundreds of TV shows and documentaries and all of that. And it's just kind of went from there. Did economics at university and did economics and business for my master's. So really went from that point. And then after uni, I was lucky enough, I got a job in consultancy. I worked for a bank down in Dublin for about 2 years and I worked on deals worth over 2 billion euros. Then I was lucky, moved to another company in international consultancy where I worked honestly with every type of company you can think of, from defense systems all the way down to female cleaner products. So I've seen quite a lot. And then in that process, worked with loads of different governments. Went back into finance then for a few months, hated it. And thankfully it got, there was a process of redundancy that went around and sort of I put my hand up and went, right, I'll take this here. And sort of when that happened, I went, right, if I'm ever going to do my own thing, which I'd always wanted to do, it's kind of now or never. And that sort of then was the start of sort of this, where I've got to where I am today. So I think one of my inspirations, and I'm really lucky in this here, is that the family I was born into. Sort of my granddad set up quite a big business when he was reasonably young. They'd done very well during obviously a difficult time over here. And he was very, very humble, even though he had was selling at that stage in the 70s and 80s and stuff all across the world. He was extremely humble and had great success with it. And I think seeing someone do that there and so close, and he was still always helping people out. And then I had my mum, who is, I'm biased, but I think one of the best in her field. But in what was, when she first started off, quite a male-dominated industry, and she's went on, done really well. She's obviously had two sons, me and my brother. And so there for me has always been sort of the big inspirations. I've sort of looked at them and went, right, they've done so well. They've always said there's nothing necessarily particularly naturally gifted they have. It's just hard work. And went, right, if they've been able to have the success they have, why can't I do the same thing? I just have to do the thing. So yeah, property for me is actually something I had a bit of experience in. I grew up in the sort of 2008 financial crash and then all afterwards. And I think probably most people my age and generation were a bit sort of scarred seeing what actually happened. So I grew up thinking, honestly, property was not a good investment. I'd seen it go wrong, seen people lose money. And then actually my first job, I was in and around property and working with people who had suffered from this. So seeing what had happened to them, and it was never a good situation, obviously. So I was always very much against property and felt like I'd seen a million different ways it could go wrong. And I remember speaking to someone about it, just going like, no, I don't think I'd ever invest in property. Wouldn't do this, wouldn't do that. And they put something really simple to me of just going, right, if you've seen, like you say, the million ways it can go wrong, just don't do what they done. So that was sort of flipped into my head, and being a bit stubborn, I went, no, you're wrong. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And it kind of just, you know how it is. It plants the seed, and you just end up thinking about it and going, actually, no, that kind of works. So that's how I eventually so I made my first investment property in about 2022. For me, I started off in something really easy, and just to get my foot in the door. It was a simple property, just bought at a good price, where a place I knew would rent well, didn't need that much work done to sort of bring it up to a nice standard. So I've done that, and then I think it was about 2023, then started 2023, I actually went and got education in it. I worked with a guy, and still work with him, a guy called Justin Wilkins. And, from there, it's been quite a good climb. I learned a lot from him, learned how to do it properly. And while he's based in England, I've been able to translate and bring a lot of their stuff over here. So that's been really great. But one of the things I think people will know about property is it's a bit slow. I like to be busy, I like to be working, and again, like I said before, I like business. I like doing things and building things. So I started looking around going, what else can I do? What that can fit in with property? And when I looked into it, e-commerce was the one that really stood out to me. I was going like, right, this can make sense. It fits in with what I want in terms of time and life with property, but also I like the thought of building something from scratch and entering any field that you could. So I started doing that, looked into it, and yeah, that's sort of where we came from there. And I've been doing that about 18 months. Started off there, it's gone well. We won one of the biggest UK national awards at the start of this year, so 2025. So yeah, it's been a good journey with both the businesses, and it's something which I plan to keep doing, keep building, keep growing. I don't really see an end point for any of these. It's something that I really enjoy, and it's something I hope to keep doing for as long as possible. So the reason why I'm documenting all this and starting YouTube isn't really because I want to see myself on TV and have an ego about it. It's the last thing I want. I cringe at taking any photos. I'm sure any ex-girlfriends will agree with me on that there. I think there's probably only about 5 photos of me with ex-girlfriends in existence. So what I really want to do with this is, growing up, now we've been lucky in Belfast over the past couple of years, there's been people who've went and absolutely smashed it in their fields, and they're really starting to get recognised. But that's only maybe been the past year, 2 years. And what I really want to do with this is have someone who's doing something similar to me and be able to show it, documenting the journey, and really being able to give back to people. That's a big thing for me. Like, I've learned a lot, and I've had a lot of lucky breaks. Some that have come through hard work, some maybe that are just pure chance and pure luck. And I felt I've built up a lot of knowledge, and a lot of knowledge of where I can give back to people. So I grew up with family who wanted to help other people, and wherever you can, you try to help people. So that's what I really want to do with this. So how I plan to do it through this is sort of documenting what I'm doing day to day. So whether it's something I'm working on, like the e-commerce side, like how do you do it? How do you set it up? Maybe areas where I think people can improve on, or exactly what I'm doing. And one of the big things is areas where I've went wrong, because I've made a lot of mistakes that have cost a lot of money, and that applies with property as well. So documenting that there, giving tips, seeing where I can help. But also, I've been lucky enough, I built up a really good network. So I want to get people who I've learned from, who I want to talk to, who I'm still learning from, get them to help everyone out as well, give what tips they can. And yeah, I think that's kind of one of the big things. Maybe go into, I think everyone talks about it too much at the times, but mindset, because it is such a big thing. Like, what's worked for me? Why am I still always learning the benefits of that there? Like, and how did I get into that mindset. So yeah, lots of stuff like that there, and I think hopefully it helps one person. That's the big thing. I think everyone who really wants to help people, as long as it helps one person, they're happy to go with it. So I think my message, I always think sort of back to what kind of happened to me in sort of 2023/2024 time, is sort of when I took the voluntary redundancy. It didn't go like, it's the first time I wasn't working and was going to have a period of, inverted commas, like not working. I'd always had a summer job or an evening job, weekend job, whether it's working as a dessert chef in a restaurant, which meant I was basically a glorified microwaver, or working in JD Sports and stuff like that. I think really is, bad stuff's going to happen, stuff which you don't plan is going to happen. Like, I took that job and I was so excited about it, I thought it was going to be perfect, and just didn't work out for various reasons. Took the voluntary redundancy. I was like, what do I do now? At that stage, for me, it's breaking up with a long-term girlfriend at that stage, which was, as anyone who's been through a breakup, is never nice. And I was also going through, I was about to lose an investment and lose a lot of money in it. So it was the three things coming at once and going like, right, what do I do now? Like, I was in not a hole or anything like that there, but just all those thoughts starting to run through your head. You're starting to think like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this? Like, what's my next play? What's my next move? And really what I'm sort of saying is like, go just do the thing that you've been wanting to do for ages. Just go do it. Figure a way out and just go do it. Take almost another risk, another chance, and do it. Now, obviously caveat that, be sensible, be smart, and be educated on it. But just go do the thing, and it might not play out in the first month, 2 months in your favour, but put the plans in motion and try to make it happen. So for me, that really is the message. Like, go do the thing, because it's worked out for me. I've worked very, very hard, and I'm just off the belief that hard work does pay off. It might not pay off straight away, but if you go do the thing and you go work really, really hard at it consistently for a long period, it does work out. So what's the end goal for all of this, and what am I going to do with it? To be honest, I don't have a set monetary goal, and I don't have a set necessary end goal. And I think that's because I genuinely enjoy business. I'm doing something I'm passionate about, and while I'm in e-commerce and property, I sort of almost think you could put me into any business field and I'd enjoy it. And that was part of the reason why I enjoyed the consultancy work so much, was that I dealt with everything and anything and lots of people in lots of different situations. So I don't think there's necessarily an end goal for me, and there's certainly not an end monetary goal. Certainly not, because I think, money hopefully will come one day, and it'll just come with the success of business. Money's the type of thing that's a byproduct of success, and it's a byproduct of success in any field, not just business. So for me, the end goal is just to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to be challenged. That's the thing I enjoy most about business, is the challenge of it. So whether it becomes growing the e-commerce and buying other e-commerce businesses, growing it over field, maybe there's another industry that all of a sudden I'm looking at and going, that seems like something I want to take on and figure out. Could do that. So yeah, I think when people always ask me what's your 5-year goals, it's a bit difficult, because I always just turn around and give the same answer. If I just want to grow these, I want to keep growing them, and I want them to be, both in terms of property, whatever I do there, and the e-commerce side, I want it to be premium brands that I'm proud of, people and the stakeholders are proud of. And, particularly one of the things my stakeholders is, your tenants and your customers. My view is I genuinely want to make them happy. I think about them constantly. And I think that's one of the big reasons behind what I do, is that there. I know in property, for me in particular, one of the passion points I have about it is, I remember it was when I was living in Liverpool for uni. There was black mould over a window, and turning around and going to the management company going like, this needs sorted, this is bad. And they came with a sponge, went to the sink, wetted the sponge and wiped it off, which, you know, certainly knowing what I know now is definitely not how you deal with furry mold. And I was just like, when I started in property, I was like, I'm never going to do that to anyone. I'm never going to have them live like that. So giving them homes which they love and spend time in and stuff, and particularly now everyone's spending more time at home, I really want to do that. And then in terms of the e-commerce, one of the things I get genuinely the most joy from is when you go onto our Trustpilot and the reviews we get there, because they're doing that independently. Like the sector I'm in, we're the highest, or if not one of the highest rated businesses in the sector, and that's all independent. People don't know me, they don't know who I am, they just know the product and the quality and the service we're giving them. So that's, yeah, for me. And wherever the future keeps going, whatever industry I get in, I want to have those same principles, the same things I've operated on, the same fundamentals, and bring them into the next challenge and continue it on and never lose it in whatever I do. So I think we're planning to film quite a few things. If anyone's followed my Instagram, which is Shane the Block Biz, you will have seen a story I put up about a house I bought, which is in, to be honest, terrible condition. There's a hole in the roof. There was special spoons and dirty spoons. I think people can probably get an idea of what I mean by that. So one of the ideas we have is to actually show you around that there, get you to meet the builders who we have on site. We'll talk to them, ask them questions, see like how do you actually fix a house. Many people when they're getting into property, certainly I know when I was, like, you don't maybe understand about your first fix and your second fix and how do you solve certain issues and things like that. So we'll be able to show some of that, which I think anyone who's interested in property behind the scenes will be good, and that'll be something we'll come back and visit a few times to actually get updates on. We'll also have another number of projects actually going on, so we'll maybe pop round them, see how they're getting on. Thankfully, for my sake, and I think the builder's sake, they're in a lot better condition than this one. So we'll do that. There's a couple of other videos I really want to shoot, and I think people get a lot of benefit from. One of them is sort of introducing you to some of the network I have. So there's people who I have who are super successful in fields I'm not in, but I've learned a lot from. I think people can learn a lot from. Again, keeping in with my network, people who I actually have learned from. So getting a couple of interviews with them, seeing what they're doing, which I always enjoy because I'm still learning from them, still picking up a lot from them. People always enjoy a day in the life. So what does my day actually look like? People probably find that interesting. I find it's just what I do. So it'll be fairly easy one to shoot, which will be nice. And then we'll probably touch on a couple of different topics. I think it's important, again, sort of a mindset one, and sort of why I think mindset's important, and it's probably a little bit different to what you've heard before. While I will be talking about the student mindset and the importance of always learning, and that's something I've kept throughout my life, and it's something that's always featured in different parts of my life, whether it's from business, education, or like sports. When I've done MMA and boxing for so long, that's such an important part of those sports. It's also why I use that mindset and how I use that mindset to connect to the right people. Really, for me, that's a big one. And I think one of the other ones it's really important to talk about is I've spent over the past couple of years a lot of money on mentors, and that's, I think, a good video, how to find the right mentor and find the right mentor for you. Don't worry, I'm not shilling here for me to be anyone's mentor, and I certainly won't be charging for that. If anyone does have questions for me, feel free to ask away. But people do want to learn, and having been there, spent the money, had some good ones, had some bad ones, and had some excellent ones, how to find the one that works well for you. So we've got quite a few ideas. We'll come up with some more, certainly, and people want to see stuff, feel free to let us know, and yeah, we'll be able to shoot it and hopefully provide some interesting content for people.